Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on a Sunday. I hope you are all enjoying your weekend, enjoying watching plenty of FA Cup action without the worry of Arsenal being involved. That will change tomorrow night, of course. Arsenal taking on Oxford United at the Kassam Stadium, 8 p.m. kickoff. Should be an interesting night. Never been there before, so looking forward to that one. And I will talk about that game, of course, in this video today. Mikel Arteta speaking late yesterday at his press conference, so we'll go through what he had to say about the criticism that's been coming his way, about transfer market, Emil Smith Rowe, Oxford, all those sort of things. And we'll have a little look at what the latest transfer speculation and rumour mill has been saying. Let's start with Arteta, because he's been the big story at Arsenal this week, hasn't he? His behaviour, quote marks, on the touchline against Newcastle, which has drawn the ire of a lot of people who have been taking shots at him all week. Whether you think that's justified or not is one thing. I mean, look, his behaviour on the touchline isn't great, but it never has been. He's always got wound up on the touchline. That's the thing that's kind of, this isn't anything new, and that's not, that's probably not exactly the best thing to say when it comes to for Arteta, because you want your manager to behave in a certain sort of way. And look, everyone crosses the line every now and again. It's just what happens in football, isn't it? It's just the intensity of it all. It's the emotion of it all. And Arteta, like Klopp, like Guardiola, like all the top managers, or every manager, gets carried away and crosses a line every now and again. Maybe cross the line a little bit against Newcastle with his reaction to that penalty right at the end when he was right in the fourth official's face. Maybe he did, but even so, I mean, it happens, doesn't it? And again, that's not just defending him, because your manager should toe a certain line, and maybe he crossed it, but it happens. And some of the criticisms come his way has just been laughable, really. It just seems to be people lining up to take shots at him for it. People haven't really seen him recently, and some of the stuff, it had an effect on the game. I just think that, and I've spoken about that in videos already in the last couple of days, so I think that's utter rubbish. I don't think it had any sort of effect on the game. I thought Arsenal played pretty well against Newcastle. They just didn't score. I don't think they failed to score because of what Arteta was doing on the touchline. I just think that's a load of rubbish, and it's just an easy stick to hit him with at the moment. But anyway, he's been talking about it. He said, look, I'm not part of the debate. I think publicly people can have their opinions. I try to do my best for this football club, to defend it, to promote it, to play with the passion I believe the game has to be played with. There are moments. It is not the way I behaved against West Ham. Every game is special. Every manager behaves differently regarding the circumstances. You cannot take that you cannot take the context out of the situation. I don't think that is fair. That's me. Whether I'm here on the pitch, that is me, the good and the bad. See what he's saying there, and I think it's good. He's saying you can't take the context out of the situation. I didn't behave like that against West Ham, for example, but he's pointing at what happened against Newcastle, and he absolutely feels his side were denied a clear penalty, at least he said 2 penalties. I'm still not sure about the second one. I think the handball could be given, it could not be. I think the first one's a certain penalty, and he's clearly frustrated about that, and he's saying that you've got to add context to the situation. We were very hard done by the referees on that day, and it wasn't just the penalties, it was a constant time wasting. I mean, we've seen how long the ball was in play against Newcastle, and so you've got to, if you're going to criticise, you can't say it's something that he does all the time, because it's not, and you've got to put context on the situation. He was asked if he's going to change. He said, look, this is me. I will always try to be better. Whatever I do, if it is tomorrow or the next day, is to make the club stronger, my players better, and for them to play better and win. So if I have to do something, I will do it. If I have to change something, believe me, I will look in the mirror at myself and I will change it very quickly. He also then went on to say that he didn't actually see a lot of the criticism that's come his way, and that he doesn't read stuff. So it'll be interesting if he has really been keeping really on top of what people have been saying. The fact there where he says, look, if I have to change, I will do it. I'll look in the mirror, I'll do it. I think he's talking there. If he does think that they're going to, what he's doing on the touchline does impact the players, then I have no doubt he would change it. But I just think he seems to be the whipping boy at the moment. People are queuing up to have a go. Maybe it's because they don't like seeing Arsenal back on top of the Premier League. Maybe they've grown used to seeing Arsenal being a mid-table team, and it's bothering them being up the top, so they want to take pot shots. I don't know, but let's face it, Arteta has been doing this when Arsenal were 16th and flirting with relegation in his first season. He was behaving like this on the touchline. It's nothing new. It's just maybe the fact that a lot of people haven't bothered watching Arsenal in the last couple of years because they haven't been worth watching. Because they're kind of been in the also-ran section of the Premier League, and now suddenly they're taking notice because they're top of the table. But I mean, this isn't something new that Arteta's been doing. He's always just had that little bit of a hot streak that from time to time he'll go and maybe cross a line on when it comes to the fourth official or how he acts. But personally for me, I kind of like to see the manager having a fair bit of passion and not sort of just lying down when he thinks him and his team has been hard done by. But let me know what you guys think, always in the comments below. There's been lots of reaction to it, lots of comments on here and on Twitter and Facebook. Plenty of you, absolutely backing Arteta. Plenty of you also saying, look, I think he needs to calm down a little bit and not act that way. So always intrigued to see what you guys have to say. Talked a bit about transfers. Obviously, we're right slap bang in the transfer season, and we all know what's going on with Mudryk and Shakhtar Donetsk. And as always, Arteta wouldn't be drawn on targets. He said there was no updates when it comes to transfers. But I thought this was an interesting line. He was talking about transfers and the valuations, and clearly this is all, around the kind of Mudryk stuff, because it was talks about transfer valuations. We know at the moment the thing that's holding up Mudryk signing for Arsenal is that Shakhtar are demanding huge money, £88 million all in, and Arsenal at the moment don't want to pay that. They're offering around £62 million. They feel their valuation's fair, Shakhtar feel their valuation's fair, and so this is what this kind of the context behind this answer and the question that he was asked. He said valuations have to be made between the selling club and the buying club, and it is difficult, but it shows there are a lot of clubs with a lot of financial power to spend big amounts, and we have to compete with them. To be smart, we have to see good opportunities, and we have to be attractive for players. At the end of the day, players decide where they want to play, and if they want to play for our club, that is great. And again, kind of that last line, I think, it doesn't take a genius to work out who he's talking about there. And it's certainly one player who's made it very, very clear that he wants to play for Arsenal. But the first part of his answer there is the thing that's holding it up, and it's about valuations. And the selling club have a valuation, the buying club have a valuation, and then it's all about trying to come to some sort of deal, some sort of compromise. At the moment, it hasn't happened. We shall see if it does. Nothing really, as far as I'm aware, that has moved forward when it comes to Mudryk. We're still in that same place that we were, so we'll wait and see what happens. There's been lots of rumours at the moment talking about João Felix. Arsenal having further meetings with Jorge Mendes. Man United have been mentioned again when it comes to Felix, and I think that's one that's going to rumble on as the month goes on. Which club finally decides they might push the boat out and go for Felix, we shall see. Not much more going on at Arsenal at the moment that I know about. I've heard that Danilo at Palmeiras, of course, that player Arsenal have been interested in before. I've heard that he is very close to a move to a Premier League club, but that club is not Arsenal, and that Arsenal haven't shown any sort of further interest in Danilo since September in terms of firming up the interest they've had in him. So we might well be seeing him move into the Premier League very soon, but as far as I'm aware, it's not the club who has now made a bid and are in sort of final stages of trying to get it done, but it is not Arsenal. So we shall see if he does make a move to England, and if he does, it'll be interesting to watch how he gets on, if indeed that goes through. It hasn't gone through yet. I don't know who the club is, but I just do know that and I've been told that he is very close to a potential move to a Premier League club, and an official bid has been made to Palmeiras, and talks are ongoing to try and get that one over the line. So watch this space when it comes to Danilo, but it doesn't look like he is going to be moving to Arsenal. And other than that, there's not really too much to say on transfers. We shall see what the next 24, 48 hours bring. The way this transfer window is going, it'll probably bring a fair amount in terms of stories and reports. We'll see if anything of substance happens, though. And if it does, be sure to keep checking my social media feeds. Okay, so on to Oxford. Tomorrow, like I said at the start of this video, looking forward to this one. FA Cup third round, always pretty special. Last year was a bit of a nightmare for Arsenal at Nottingham Forest. Good to see Charlie Patino, by the way, doing the business for Blackpool yesterday against Forest, avenging that defeat, because he played in that game, of course, last season when Arsenal lost at the City Ground. This time, Blackpool rolling over Nottingham Forest 4-1 at Blackpool. Patino playing very well. I think he played for about 68 minutes in a kind of number 6 role, a little bit deeper than he's has been playing for the majority of this season at Blackpool anyway, but he has sort of fluctuated in those midfield roles. Played very well by all accounts as well. I think he won more duels or something, won more headers. He's showing again that he can really cope with the physical nature of senior football, so that's good to see. But Arsenal go to Oxford. Mikel's been speaking about that. He said it's always tricky. I've played there a few times and I've experienced some very difficult moments, so it will be difficult. We have to take the competition and the opponent very seriously and play well to a high level to win the match. It is a competition that we are really looking forward to playing, and it brings back huge memories to our football club and the team, because not many years ago we won it, but also last year we went out of the competition. It's a competition that we really want to compete, playing and compete. It's going to be intriguing to see his team selection 6 days ahead of the North London derby. Just what is he going to do? Is it going to be complete overhaul of the team, kind of like Europa League side, with a couple of regular Premier League starters included, maybe a Martinelli, maybe a Granit Xhaka? Or is he just going to think, we've got 6 days till the North London derby, we'll go pretty strong, and then he would start the likes of, Partey, Saliba, Zinchenko, Saka. We shall wait and see. I think I know what I'd do, and that is probably go with the Europa League side for this one. I just think that Tottenham and Man United games are so big coming up. You just can't afford to get an injury ahead of those games. You would hope that the squad players should be good enough to get a job done against Oxford. Obviously, they weren't last year at Nottingham Forest, but hopefully they will be this time. I think it's certainly maybe chuck in a couple, as I've said in previous videos, maybe a Xhaka just to shore up things in midfield. Maybe a Gabriel to play as that left-sided centre-back. But other than that, I think you've got to give squad players an opportunity to impress. I think I went through it yesterday. I think you could kind of looking at, maybe Turner, Tomiyasu, Holding, Gabriel, Tierney, Elneny, Sambi, Granit, and then maybe Vieira, Eddie and Marquinhos, I'm not sure, something like that. I don't think that'll be far off what the starting 11 will be, put it that way, when Arsenal go. Emile Smith-Rowe, of course, hopefully, fingers crossed, will be involved, whether that's from the start or whether that's half an hour in the second half. We shall see. Whatever it is, it's going to be great to see him back. Mikel's been speaking about him ahead of his return. He said Emile can play as attacking midfielder, as a winger, or even as a 9. Not sure about that. I think he's played there before. First of all, we need him fit at his best. And when we have that, we have an incredible player that we have missed a lot in the last few months. If he trains well, he will hopefully be available to give us something in the game. Not sure about him playing as a 9. I know what Arteta's saying. He has played there before. I think Arteta played him there against Man City when Arsenal got absolutely stuffed at the Etihad a couple of seasons ago. But yeah, he's not a number 9 for me, or a false 9 for me. He is very much a player running from deep, making those drives forward, or playing off the left-hand side and coming in where we've seen him play well. Wherever it is he plays, I can't wait to see him back. I mean, you guys know I'm a massive fan of Emile Smith-Rowe. Arsenal have missed him massively. The option of starting him or bringing him off the bench, being able to rotate with Saka or Martinelli, or Odegaard, he's just been a big miss. Such a good finisher as well. Offers so much to this team when he's fully fit and firing on all cylinders. So it's going to be fantastic to see him back. Fingers crossed we do. It all goes to plan and he gets some really valuable minutes, because if he does and he stays fit and he gets back to his best, then he is going to be a huge player over the second half of the season. So yeah, looking forward to seeing Emile back in action. All right, that's it from me. Thank you very much for watching. Everyone, please do enjoy your rest of the weekend. And Arsenal versus Oxford, or Oxford versus Arsenal, I should say, tomorrow night in the FA Cup. Looking forward to it. Speak to you soon.